And out to West Africa. Human Rights Watch says security forces in Ivory Coast are carrying out brutal extrajudicial killings, forced disappearances, torture and rape during the ongoing political crisis. VOA West Africa correspondent Scott Stearns has more.
Human Rights Watch says security forces and militiamen loyal to incumbent President Laurent Gbagbo are imposing a reign of terror against supporters of the United Nations certified winner of Ivory Coast's presidential election, former Prime Minister Alassane Ouattara. Corinne Dufka is the Human Rights Watch senior researcher for West Africa. She says the group's new report is based on interviews with more than 100 victims and witnesses in the commercial capital, Abidjan.
Of course, we went into our investigation looking at the potential for attacks by supporters of both sides of the political divide. What we found was that the vast majority of them, involving security forces and militia, have targeted Ouattara supporters, northern Ivorians, as well as West African immigrants.
Dufka says the Human Rights Watch investigation found ample evidence that the violence of the last 2 months has been politically motivated.
In the course of committing these very serious atrocities, including killings, rapes, forced disappearances, the witnesses and victims of those who were not killed very clearly spoke of the security forces mentioning the fact that they were pro-Ouattara. During the course of rapes, they said things like, go tell Alassane, that is Ouattara's first name, go tell Alassane that it was we who did this to you.
During one protest in the Abobo neighborhood, Dufka says some Ouattara supporters were shot without warning. Others were killed by fragmentation grenades. Dufka says the violence did not stop when the day ended.
Following that incident, there were numerous raids in Abobo and other places, but particularly Abobo, by the security forces, which seemed to target mid-level RHDP supporters. And those occurred not during the day when the march took place, but instead in the middle of the night, when people got knocks on the door and they were dragged out of their houses, sometime to be found in the morgues, and other times, their family members have yet to find them.
While the Human Rights Watch investigation found a preponderance of attacks by those loyal to Mr. Gbagbo, Dufka says there is evidence of pro-Gbagbo families fleeing their homes and some police being attacked by Ouattara supporters.
On the 16th of December, our witnesses described a police officer firing at demonstrators from his building. The demonstrators then went up into the building, dragged him down, and burned him alive. That was one. Again, on the 11th and 12th of December, at least 7 police officers were killed in Abobo. The circumstances around those killings are not clear.
Mr. Gbagbo's government says those 7 officers were killed by Ouattara supporters. Dufka says Human Rights Watch wants Mr. Gbagbo to disarm civilian militia manning checkpoints in Abidjan. She says increased patrols by United Nations peacekeepers have helped restore order in some pro-Ouattara neighborhoods.
They have been going out in the streets patrolling in some of the hardest hit and most vulnerable neighborhoods. We welcome those initiatives. They have greatly assured the residents of Abobo and other places, and we're urging them to step up their patrols.
Dufka says Human Rights Watch will release a complete report of its findings in the next month, but decided to issue this preliminary study in hopes of encouraging immediate international action to protect civilians and moves to ensure that those responsible for the violence are brought to justice. Scott Stearns, VOA News, Dakar.